Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Thursday, May 12th at about 6:05 p.m. here in Northern California. There's blood in the streets. We're going to talk about the crypto market and what I see happening here. But before we get into that, I want to address my last video. I did a video a couple days ago called How I Called the Luna Crash on April 20th. And I got a few critical comments there, which is totally fine. It's not a big deal. But I wanted to address it. You know, the primary critique that I received was, you know, haven't you made some bad calls? Why do you focus on the one good call you made? Basically, it seemed that the sentiment was that I made that video to tout my own horn, to toot my own horn, whatever you call it. That's part of it. I mean, when you do something good, you call something right, you feel good about that. In a sense, I think I'm looking for something positive to hold on to in the middle of this space. However, the primary point that I wanted to make was not that I always call stuff right, because you're right, I don't call everything right. I've called a lot of stuff wrong, actually. Made a lot of mistakes. And in actuality, I wouldn't call it mistakes because we're doing technical analysis and we're looking at technical indicators, which none of which are 100%. I don't know of anybody in this market any technical analyst or fundamental analyst for that matter, who's called everything correctly. Nobody has. You know, we're all simply making educated guesses based on the indicators. I have a specific set of indicators that I use. Blockchain Backer has a specific set of indicators that he uses. Scientific Investor has his indicators that he uses, so on and so forth. The indicators that make the most sense to me, they use the indicators that make the most sense to them. Benjamin Cohen has his indicators. And all any of us are doing are simply trying to gather evidence for coming up with the best case or worst case scenario of what the market may be doing tomorrow at about this time. The point I was making with the Luna video is this, that whenever any asset is in this position, look at this position, what's getting ready to happen is clear. Whenever any asset is in this position on the weekly chart, this is the point I was making. It's not, you don't have to be a scientist to call this. Really what that whole video was about was, it was a teaching moment. Anyone could call this. Now, not to this degree. No one could have foreseen, at least not with the knowledge that we had just simply looking at charts, that this was going to crash to less than like a fraction of a penny, basically zero, that Luna was just going to completely collapse. No, I don't claim to have known that or anything close to it. But here's what I saw. I saw that the RSI topped out on February 15th, 2021. And since then, the RSI has been moving downward. We've been making lower highs in the RSI while simultaneously making higher highs in the price. And when I saw this on April 20th, it was this candle here, or somewhere between this candle and this candle here. I said, there's no way. There's no way this can continue upward when the RSI has been continuing downward for so long. And we're getting to the top of this ascending narrowing wedge. The wedge is narrowing. It can't. No way. It's got to pull back. That was simple technical analysis. Now, the problem that we have is that not everything is in this position. This was a no-brainer. When I saw this, I immediately called my group together and said, we're shorting this. Simply because this is high probability stuff. But the rest of the stuff, like for instance, this XRP call that I made, we traded this in our group. We've got a lower low with the simultaneous higher low in the RSI. That's classic bullish divergence. When you see that, you buy here. So we entered into a long position here. Thankfully, it wasn't a huge long position. It had a tight stop loss. We got stopped out at 46.5 cents. So we bought in at 48 cents. We got stopped out at 46.5 cents. And now we're reassessing the market to figure out where our next long position is going to be. So, yeah, this is one I called wrong. There's a bunch of them that I've called wrong. I can show you those. I don't mind showing you those. The point I'm making is there are certain things on the weekly chart that are almost, it's like a no-brainer. I don't even know what the word is I want to look for, but it's high probability. And so when I saw this ascending narrowing wedge, lower highs in the RSI, higher highs in the price, and an ascending narrowing wedge, it's got to pull back. I saw the same thing on the Solana chart. Where is it? I haven't looked at that chart in a minute. The weekly chart of Solana. Somebody asked me when it was up here, it was $200 and something, and he said, I think if it pulls back under $200, I'm going to buy it. And I said, the problem I see is the RSI topped out on April 19th, 2021, and we're making lower highs in the RSI on the weekly chart while simultaneously making higher highs in the price. This is not sustainable. It's got to pull back. And I said anything under $100, my sweet spot, I moved this up a bit, but my sweet spot was about $84.50. So that was my target. If I were to buy it, I would buy it at around $84.50, and this was down to about $100. And this was about 70 or something like that. That was my region. Now, of course, we've crashed down underneath that. Did I see that coming? No. But here's how I came to this conclusion. Basically, number one, I saw bearish divergence in the RSI on the weekly chart. I saw an ascending narrowing wedge that we're reaching close to the top of. And so I set 301 as the top. I saw that as the potential top. And then all I did was pull back from 301. Maybe it was 80. Yeah, it was down to $58 because it was 80% under 301. That was my target. And then second target was about 75%, or maybe it was 73%. So right about there. And then my third target was going to be something like 65%, right about there. So for me, this was going to be the accumulation window, the accumulation zone. Now, we didn't make it that high. We pulled back. $261 was the top. So if you go down 80% from $261, that takes us down to $50. But we're below that now. We've crashed down below that. Everything has crashed down below these levels. This Luna crash, goodness. This is going to zero, guys. It's done. That's what it looks like to me. By the way, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm neither saying buy nor sell. But this was when I started this video, this was 200 and something Satoshis, and now it's down to 70 Satoshis. So this thing, it's going quick. It's going quick, and UST is just tanking. So there's blood in the streets, folks. I'm not gonna lie. There's blood in the streets. It looks bad. Everything is breaking beneath where I saw the bottom. So you want to see some stuff I called wrong? I thought this was the bottom here. It's crashed beneath it. Now the next support is 4.3 cents for TFUEL. I thought this was the bottom, $1.26, $1.27. Now the next support is between 58 and 77 cents for THETA token. Isn't that crazy? That THETA token was up at $15 or something, and now it's going all the way down to, it could go beneath $1, just kind of looking at where it is. So what's the silver lining in this? Well, the thing that we need to understand is that millionaires are made in bear markets, and millionaires are made in the moments of mass capitulation. This one, A lot of people talk about the capitulations back in 2018, 2017. I was watching Blockchain Backer, and he said the scariest one for him was in 2017, and I totally get it because, he sold into that thing. And in hindsight, this one was only 63%, but this one was the most traumatic for me here in 2020. And it was the most traumatic for me because I was margin trading it, and I got scared out of the water in profit. I shorted Ethereum at $232. Now, I'm going to tell another story, and I know the comments are going to be, oh, so you think you do well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just told you I make a lot of mistakes. But it was a Saturday night. I'll never forget it. It was a Saturday night. I was in my home office, March of 2020. And I got on my knees and I said, Lord, I need to focus on going to church tomorrow. So I need you to tell me what to do. Now, by the way, this is not financial advice, and neither am I claiming to be a prophet, because I haven't gotten another word like that since then. But that night, this impression came to me that said short Ethereum at $232. Well, I looked at the Ethereum chart and it was 217 at the moment. So in order for my short to go through, Ethereum would have to go up to 232, grab that short, execute that short, and then dump. Now, I didn't know anything about stop losses. I didn't know anything about like minimizing my leverage or even calculating my leverage to know that I wasn't over leveraged. I didn't know anything about, risk, ratios and all of that stuff. I was just stupid. So I had a couple $1,000 in my account, and I dropped a 500 Ethereum short, an order for a 500 Ethereum short at $232, which means if it went up to $237, I would have got liquidated. I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I felt like the Lord said, don't check the chart. Just go to church. By the way, if you're an atheist, sorry. I'm not trying to preach to you or tell you to believe anything. This is just my experience. I'm telling you what happened to me. I went to church. After church, and I felt like the Lord said, don't check it, just go to church. I went to church. After church, I felt like the Lord said, don't check it, just go on about your business. But a friend of mine came over and said, how's your short going? And I said, I don't know. I set the order last night, but I don't know what it's doing. He goes, let's check it. Well, I couldn't resist. So we checked it. In the middle of the night, it had gone up to $32.50, executed my short, and then dumped. It was back down at 217 again. I made $500 for every dollar that it dropped. So 32 minus 17, I was $1,500 up. Right? No. 15 times 500. I was $7,500 up or something like that. It was $15 times $500. Yeah, $7,500. Yeah, I was up $7,500. He goes, you better close that short. You better close that short. You better take profit. I was like, you're right. So I take profit. I go home. By the time I get home, I check it again. It's down to 208. So I set the short again. It goes down to 201. It goes up to 209. And so I'm scared. So I exit the short. And then I keep going back in and back out, back in and back out, back in. Finally, I set the short at 208. Another 500 Ethereum, went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and the bottom was falling. Ethereum was just crashing, and the whole market was crashing. Everything was falling. Now, looking back, the Bitcoin dropped 63% in that dump. Well, let's see what it did in this dump. Yeah, that's more substantial so far. So far, that's more substantial than this dump. If we go all the way back to here, that's 72%. If we go all the way up to here, still only 63%. So this one in 2020 is definitely more substantial from a percentage perspective than what we're looking at right now. What's the point I'm making? I added to my short on the way down. So when Ethereum got to like $190, I added another 500 Ethereum. So now I'm making $1,000 for every dollar that it dumps. I didn't know how to set stop losses. I could have set a stop loss so that, the 208 stopped out if it went back up above 180 or whatever. I didn't know how to do that. So I'm just watching the chart 24/7, like ready to get out of the short if it turns around and breaks up. And it was like a 3-day period that was some of the most harrowing of my life. Well, it got all the way down to, I don't know, I think Ethereum was like $110. I shorted it at 232. So you do the math. And I'm watching Crypto Savvy every morning. I'm not saying this to call him out. I don't have any criticism for anybody. But Crypto Savvy, I found out later, is a huge bear. He's like super bearish. He's always bearish. I didn't realize that at the time. But he said, I wouldn't be surprised if all of it just went to zero and died. And the way the stars were falling out of the sky, it was so cataclysmic and it just felt so apocalyptic that I thought, this stuff's going to go to zero and I'm going to lose everything. So I closed out my shorts, transferred all of my money out, and sold to cash. And then I watched as Ethereum went down and touched $89 and then turned around and started going back up again. And then when everything started going back up again, then I bought back in super quickly and tried to get back in there, and now I'm trying to catch up. I know nothing about margin trading or leverage trading, and I traded it all down to basically zero. So this was a super traumatic experience for me. And it really started here. No, it didn't start here for me. It started over here. Yeah. So what happened was Bitcoin touched $10,000. It broke just above $10,000, and then it just tanked because apparently there were some whales that had a huge short waiting right at $10,000. I mean, they shorted like, 100,000 Bitcoin or something like that. Anyway, what am I saying? What I'm saying is when I look back on this whole turn of events here, this whole period of time here, really, where it seems like you got to imagine that if you started here, let's say in 2019, June of 2019, and you come all the way over here to March of 2020, the last 9 months, you've been watching the market just go down, and every time it seems like it's coming up, it just drops and it just tanks. Can you, I mean, if you were there, you understand the disappointment. You understand the discouragement, the emotions that you felt, all the stages of grief that you went through simultaneously, the pain of it. Like we had hoped, and our hopes and dreams seem to have come to nothing. But it's only in hindsight that you look back and say, this was the moment. This was the golden opportunity. That was the moment. And honestly, even if you didn't recognize it till here, you're still fine. And honestly, even if you didn't recognize it till here, you're still fine. And honestly, even if you didn't get it until here, you're still fine. And honestly, even if you didn't get it till here, all of these places, you're still in profit right now. But this right here, that was the moment. Like from that moment, everything turns around. Now, the question is, can I guarantee that this was our moment? Nope. Can't guarantee nothing. As I've said before, if you want guarantees, put your money in the bank where it's guaranteed to lose now, 5-6% per year? What is inflation at? I mean, shoot, where inflation is right now, you want to talk about, your asset tanking, just put it in the US dollar. Now, don't get me wrong, the US dollar is king right now in terms of it's the one thing that's not crashing through the floor. The point I'm making is that in the crypto market, there are 80+% pullbacks. This is yet to be one of them. So the question is, if this were to pull back 80%, where would it go? If this were to pull back 80%, we're looking at $13,000. Do I think it's going to go that low? No, I don't. But then again, who am I? Right? I just draw lines on a chart. But the one thing I don't do is control where the market goes. I'm looking at indicators. And what indicators do is they provide us with indications. Now, let's talk about some indicators. This is the indicator that I'm most interested in at the moment. The RSI, the Relative Strength Index. And what does the Relative Strength Index tell me? It's bearish. We've broken beneath the trend. We're making we're making lower highs and lower lows. So even if we drew a trend line there, we've broken beneath that. So this is bearish. Did I think this was going to happen? Nope. I was wrong. However, what's the silver lining? When this line gets down to this level, we're entering into a territory called oversold. Oversold means that the market is flooded with super cheap supply. There's too much product, and it becomes irresistible at that point. Notice what happens on the weekly Bitcoin chart. We almost touched the line here. We broke barely beneath the line here. We broke barely beneath the line here. This was 2020, but we didn't even touch the line. Here, we're yet to touch the line. We're above the line. If we come down and touch this line or break beneath this line, that is a sign to me that we're moving into another one of these. Because every time we hit this line, look what happens. And even the first time, this is back in 2011, look what happened. So I thought we were going to take off without even having to come down and visit this line. But if we're coming down to visit this line, look up, folks. For your redemption draweth nigh. Now, on the other hand, on the daily chart, we're already down there, folks. If we look at the RSI on the daily, we're hanging out down there, which we typically do not do. We hang out down there for a little while. But once again, every time we come down there, look what happens. Bam. Bam. Look at this one. Bam. And even this one. Bam. We make our way to the top. So the RSI being in the oversold position tells me, and once again, it could go lower. This is the historic bottom of the RSI on the daily chart. But the fact that Bitcoin is in the oversold position on both weekly and daily charts is a good thing, folks. It's a good thing. What did I do? I don't know what I did. Oh, that's what I did. I full screened that one. All right, folks. That's all I got for you today. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. What are we looking at? Man, I mean, Luna is just dying a slow death before our very eyes. I think we should have a moment of silence for Tara and for all of those who lost great fortunes on this asset. Very sorry. But this also goes to give us a bit of caution that in the crypto game, you do not invest more than you are willing to lose. All of this stuff can go to zero. It can. I don't believe it will. I don't expect it to. But I think what we've seen here is that this could happen to anything. But the one thing I know is, I'm confident of, I don't know, it's not going to happen to everything. And that's why my portfolio is diversified the way it is. All right, folks, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing and commenting. But above all, remember to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. I know in times like this, it feels like you can't do that, but I guarantee you can. Because crypto is not my life. My life consists of much more important things than crypto. Like family, like faith, like just love for humanity, like vision. Let's say we're entering into a multi-year bear market. What do you do? Well, here's what you do. What you don't do is sit around looking at the charts every day waiting for it to turn around. Take some time to figure out your life mission and then get on track with it. Start pursuing it. Start working on it. Take strides toward doing something with your life. Don't make your life about the acquisition of wealth. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, folks, without further ado, this is Cryptogenic signing out.